YN's POV. The next day at school was overwhelming. Students were pacing around the room impatiently. Everyone was itching to leave. Our class would be taking a 2-night, 3-day trip to train more before the sports festival began. The class seemed quiet. Too quiet. Suspiciously. I looked around the room, and when I didn't see Bakugo or Kiri's Hima, I knew something was up. I figured I should just ignore it. But for some reason, something was telling me to find out what was going on. I snuck out of the classroom, which wasn't hard, and went out in the hallway and began my search. Shut the hell up, Pointy. I heard someone yell down the hall. I ran toward the sound. Trying to stay quiet with shoes on was hard. Nearly impossible. But I managed best I could. When I was right around the corner from where the sound came from, I peeked around it. And to my surprise, I found Bakugo and Kirishima there, yelling at each other. That's not how you treat a lady. Bakugo, you can't just take off when you see her. That hurts people's feelings. You know. Shut up. You have no right to tell me what I can and can't do. I stood there for a while, not knowing what to do. If I left now, I was too afraid they'd hear me. So I slid down the wall and sat with my knees up, and put my head down. I sat and wondered about this mystery girl they were talking about. Who is she? Do I know her? Man, she must be something special for these guys to make such a big deal about her. Suddenly, there was a pause to the yelling. I lifted my head from my knees and his bright, red eyes met mine. I quickly stood and watched as his gaze followed me. You and Bakugo. I didn't know what I was trying to say, and he was looking at me like he had just seen a ghost. He didn't look like he wanted to kill me. For once. How long have you been standing there? He spat out in a cold, ruthless way. His expression had suddenly changed. Now, he was acting like I did something wrong. And maybe I did. After all, I was listening in on their conversation. Listen. I didn't mean to. I was suddenly cut off when Mina came running down the hall, yelling my name to get my attention. YN. We're finally ready to leave. She must have realized the situation I was in when she saw Bakugo, because her face instantly dropped like it did before. At the restaurant. Bakugo. We should probably get going, she said. She took my arm and led me away from Bakugo's obvious raging self. Time skip. Once me and Mina were on the bus, she pulled me into the window seat next to her, and looked at me with that serious look again. Look, YN, I just want to keep you safe, you know that, right? I looked at her with wide eyes. What the hell was she talking about? She must have known I was confused, 'cause she continued without hesitation. Just stay away from Bakugo, alright? I've never been so confused in my life. What was Mina talking about? Stay away from Bakugo. Keeping me safe. I needed more answers. Mina what? But she stopped me when she saw Bakugo get on the bus. Me and Mina sat all the way in the back, so it wasn't hard to figure out that his eyes were locked on us. He gave me a look I'd never seen from Bakugo before. A look of dash. My thoughts were interrupted when the bus driver got on the loudspeaker. Everybody take your seats so we can leave. He spoke in a cold tone. I watched as Bakugo sat a couple rows up from me, which was relieving. I wouldn't have to worry about him for a while. Everyone get comfortable. We've got a 5-hour drive ahead of us. The bus driver spoke again. He glanced in the rearview mirror before taking off. 3 hours later, the bus driver suddenly slammed on the loud, screeching brakes and woke me out of a deep sleep. I looked around, and then to Mina, who also looked as if she'd just been woken up as well. What's going on? I asked. As soon as I did, the bus driver announced on the loudspeaker that we were stopping for lunch. You have an hour. Be back at 1 o'clock sharp, he said. Everyone jumped out of their seats and rushed to the front of the bus. When we got off the bus, me and Mina talked about where we wanted to go for lunch. When Momo came up to us. Hey Mina, how's my best friend? She yelled and hung on to Mina. Best friend? Her and Mina? How close are these two? Before I knew it, Momo dragged Mina away from me, and they went into the store furthest away from me. I stood in the street alone again. I decided I couldn't focus on the negatives. I needed to make other friends besides Mina. So without another thought, I walked into the closest supermarket alone. Once I was inside, I picked out a fruit bowl for lunch and some chips for the rest of the bus ride. After paying, I sat down on a bench I found outside the supermarket and enjoyed my fruit bowl, all while trying to keep the tears away. I watched as students ran around in and out of different stores and restaurants, all with their friends. I didn't feel bad for myself. In fact, I felt somewhat motivated. Motivated to do better on my own. Motivated to meet new people. As I was lost in my thoughts, I didn't realize when two strong guys walked up to me until they spoke. "What's a pretty girl like you doing all alone?" My thoughts froze. I froze. I looked up at them, and whatever confidence I had that lingered through my body had left. I felt more helpless than I ever had before. Before I had a chance to speak, one of them grabbed my dainty wrist and pulled me up from my seat, following the other to who knows where. I dropped my fruit bowl and tried to slide my wrist through the man's grasp, but my energy felt wasted while he pulled me into an alley behind the supermarket. Thanks for watching my video. Make sure to like and subscribe to my channel so you won't miss anything I post.